Lesson 18, pluck and say the number of every finger from Learn Violin Fast, Book 1. Now that you know how to hold the violin guitar style, you know how to press your fingers on the strings, you know how to be aware of your shoulder tension, you know how to stand up tall with the violin and be comfortable. We're now going to pluck and say what finger and what string we are using. The reason it's better to say what we're doing is it helps us to connect what we see, what we feel, what we hear, and what we think. So we're going to pluck, open G. You'll notice my hand is open, and even though it looks like I'm just beginning to play, because I've played the violin since I was 5 years old, I've done this thousands of times, and my preparation is really fast. But as you're learning a new skill, make sure you take the time and you go through the checklist. Am I standing tall? Is my left hand nice and loose? Is my right hand nice and loose? Is the violin up properly? Is it all the way down at the bottom? Make sure you hold it nice and high so that you can see things and your hands aren't too strained to reach the proper places. So now that I went through my checklist, I'm going to pluck and say open G, open G. 1 on G, 2 on G, 3 on G, open D, 1 on D, 2 on D, 3 on D, open A, 1 on A, 2 on A, 3 on A, open E, 1 on E, 2 on E, 3 on E. If you want the challenge, you can add your pinky. So you could do open G, 1 on G, 2 on G, 3 on G, 4 on G, open D, 1 on D, 2 on D, 3 on D, 4 on D, open A, 1 on A, 2 on A, 3 on A, 4 on A, open E, 1 on E, 2 on E, 3 on E, 4 on E. You could also go backwards. You could start from the top. 4 on E, 3 on E, 2 on E, 1 on E, open E. And you could also do odd fingers and even fingers. For example, you could do 1 on G, 3 on G, 1 on D, 3 on D, 1 on A, 3 on A, 1 on E, 3 on E. And you can do even fingers or open and then 2s and 4s. So open G, 2 on G, 4 on G, open D, 2 on D, 4 on D, open A, 2 on A, 4 on A, open E, 2 on E, 4 on E. I know it sounds silly to say what string you're plucking and what fingers you're plucking, but by saying it out loud, you're making sure that you're really aware of what string and what finger you're pressing. So as you get more information, what notes you have to make, how long those notes are, having that practice of what string and what finger you're pressing is going to make your life a lot easier when things get more challenging and more complicated. I hope you found this helpful. I'll see you in the next lesson. Thanks for watching.